Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be me kind of duping the Blue Bud palette. When I first saw this palette come out, I very easily just said no, I don't like it. I'm not going to use a whole blue palette. That's way too expensive for something that I'm only going to pull out once, maybe not in a great while, but something that's not going to be used on an everyday basis or even a weekly basis. But as looks have come out, as swatches have come out, I have really been kind of changing my tune towards this palette. I still don't think it's really a practical purchase for me, and I'm really trying to cut down on my impractical makeup purchases. So today I decided I wanted to shop my stash for some similar tones. This is not going to be like my other shop my stash for dupe videos where I go in for each shade. But this one, I just kind of wanted to prove myself that, hey, you have similar tones, you can probably create some similar looks, so you don't need to spend 60 bucks on a completely, well, almost completely blue palette. Another thing that I wanted to note before we hop into this is that I mostly focused on the blues and like the two greens that are in this palette. I feel like those neutral pops, like I think there's a peach, I know there's a tan shade, I think there's a black and a gray in there too. I'm not as interested in those, and I feel like those are things that I already have in my collection and that you guys already have in your collection too, so I wanted to focus on the more colorful pops. So let's hop right into it without me blabbering on any further. So as I talk about each shade, I will insert a swatch of it, just so you guys can kind of see what color story we are creating. So the first thing I did was dip into my Blush Tribe Blossom palette. You guys know this palette is well loved in my collection, especially in my dupe videos. And I dipped into the shade Brunera right here. I believe that's what it's called. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly. But this is just a beautiful kind of light blue shade. I feel like it's a combination of sky blue and periwinkle because I feel like it has a little teeny bit of purple in there. But this is one of my favorite shades in this palette, and I know there's a similar shade in the Blue Bud palette. I think this would be really great for kind of blending out blue looks. The next shade I dipped into, I'm kind of all over palette wise, just FYI. I kind of wanted to swatch these in lightest to darkest because that's how I would prefer them to be arranged in a palette. So that's kind of how I swatch them, but I'm jumping around from palette to palette. So I'm going to dip back into the Blossom palette, but not until like later in the swatches, if that makes any sense. So the next palette that I dipped into is the Dream Street palette, and I wanted to dip into the shade Kaleidoscope right here, which kind of just looks like a silvery champagne shade. I don't know if it's going to pick up on camera. It has a very subtle blue shift, and it pairs so nicely with blue shadows. It does do a really great job of kind of brightening up the lid or the inner corner, or even if you layer it on top of like a matte blue, it does have some slightly duochrome properties, so it does just a little something different. It can add a nice little twist to your look, so I wanted to throw that in there. And then the next palette that I dipped into is my ColourPop Zodiac palette. That's backwards. Here we go. Now it's forwards. And this palette, I dipped into the shade the Pisces first, which this one is kind of a like light teal, I would say. It's super shimmery, super metallic. It's really beautiful. It's a shade that I haven't really touched a whole lot, and I'm kind of noticing that with a lot of these blues, which tells me even further that I do not need to go out and buy that palette. But this is a beautiful kind of fun, I feel like this is a pool blue. Like when I look at this, I'm like, oh, that's pool water. And I think this would be really fun to pair with some of the deeper blues. I love having shimmery kind of mid-toned light shades in a palette, even if it's more of a colorful color story. That's just kind of how I like to do my eyeshadow. Like today I have a darker green in the outer corner, and then I have a metallic kind of coppery shade on the lid. Then I put that green like way up in my crease. It looked really cool I was doing it, but I'm having the hardest time like capturing it on camera for Instagram, but that's a separate issue. And then I dipped right back into the Zodiac palette, and I went into the shade The Aquarius. This is like a beautiful periwinkle. It does not swatch the greatest, so just beware in my swatch. I had to build it up. But it's just a beautiful soft periwinkle blue. It's a little bit deeper than that first shade that we swatched from the Blush Tribe palette, but I know there's a similar one to this in the Blood Sugar palette. I'll insert the name on the screen right here. I don't have the palette right in front of me to look at it. But I just love this tone so much. I'm so attracted to this tone in eyeshadow and clothing and things to put in my house. I think it's just absolutely beautiful. So next, I quickly do want to talk about a pigment from the company called Starfire. I won an awesome bundle of all of their pigments maybe about a month or two ago at this point. I don't know. I feel like the semester has been so crazy, and I've barely gotten a chance to really dive in with my new makeup, so we're almost done, so I'm really hoping soon I'll have more of a chance to play with these and dive into them. But this one's in the shade E8. It's this beautiful kind of, how would I describe this blue? I feel like it's like a true blue. This is one of their pigments in the swatch. It is dry. You can of course use it wet to build it up or use it dry so it's a little bit softer. I can see myself using this dry, kind of fluffing it into the crease, and then maybe wet all over the lid. But I just wanted to include this because it is something blue in my collection, and I think it does mimic some of the tones in the Blue Bud palette. So next we're going to dip back into the Blossom palette, and this time we're going to go back in with that deeper blue shade that was next to that original Brunera shade. This one right here, that's not it. This one right here is called Blue Days. It's of course a deep kind of true blue. I feel like these two are pretty darn similar. Blue Days might just be a little bit deeper. This could be a really great shade to kind of deepen up looks or really define the crease. Next, I'm going to dip into my Juvia's Place Masquerade mini palette, and I'm going to dip in the shade Dahlia right here. It is a beautiful, kind of similar true blue shade. I feel like I have a lot of this kind of blue in my collection because these look pretty darn similar. They're just in different formats. But again, I think this is a beautiful blue tone that would pair really nicely with those other tones in the palette. I'm going to dip into the Masquerade mini again for this next shade. This one is Chai, C-H-I? I'm not really sure how to say that one. But it's kind of a much deeper, almost indigo shade. It is so stunning. I love this shade so much. The next shade I want to dip into is actually a shadow from a palette that I depotted. So it's from the ColourPop Chasing Rainbows palette, but it's the shade 1-on-1. It's this beautiful kind of deep blue with tons and tons of glitter in it. I feel like it has a black base and then just tons and tons of blue shimmer in it. It is so stunning, you guys. This is one of my favorite shades from that palette, and I think it's stunning. I think it would create really beautiful smoky eyes. I know there's a glittery shade in the Blue Blood palette, but I think it might be a little bit lighter than that one, but I still think I could make them work in the same way with a little bit of layering and tweaking. Ooh, the next shade that I wanted to include is also a single shadow. I believe the mint green in the Blue Blood palette is matte. Don't quote me on that because I definitely could be wrong. But to dupe that, I do not have a matte green, so I went with the satin green, and that is La Playa. This is a single from ColourPop. It's a really beautiful kind of minty green, and I think it would pair so nicely with those blue tones, either all over the lid, or you could pop it in the inner corner for a little bit of a different inner corner highlight. I think it would be really fun. So the Blue Blood palette is primarily blue, but I feel like there are some kind of greenish tones in there. I think this one, next one, which is green, is quite off from the green tones that are actually in the palette, but I wanted to throw it in there because I think it could still play nicely with the blues. And to get that shade, I'm going to dip into the Through My Eyes palette from ColourPop. I'm going to dip into the shade Moody right here, which is this beautiful, like, deep dark forest green shade. I think that would just be a really fun twist to the palette. So then I did want to give honorable mentions to two glitter shades because, like I said, there is a glitter shade in the Blue Blood palette, and I think these would just pair absolutely beautifully with it. And these are both from Starfire Cosmetics once again. This one is in the shade number 3. It's a bit of a lighter blue, closer to that kind of true blue that we were talking about. And I dumped these all over when I was showing you guys close-ups. I'm pretty sure my socks are going to be covered in glitter for the next like 3 weeks. I need to vacuum it up when I get back from class tonight. And then this other shade, which is number 9. This is more of a deep kind of, not navy blue, but it's like in between true blue and navy blue, if that makes any sense. It's an absolutely gorgeous color, and I can just see these topping off any of those looks absolutely beautifully. So that's gonna wrap this video up, you guys. I feel like it was kind of a quick one, and I know it's different from my other Shop My Stash for Dupes kinds of videos, but I just really wanted to shop my stash for myself, and I like doing these things on camera because I feel like a lot of us are in a place right now where we are done collecting makeup, we're done getting more, and we just want to focus on using up what we have, but we may still have those urges to try out new trends or buy that newest palette. But I think this is a really great way to kind of convince yourself that no, you don't need it, take a step back, swatch your stuff, see what you have, and I love doing it by myself, and I just thought I would come on camera and share it with you guys as well. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. And if you guys are new here, hi, my name is Sydney. I post videos 3 times a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and that's gonna wrap this one up. So thank you all so much for watching. I so appreciate that you take time out of your day to spend with me and talk about makeup for a little bit, and I hope you're having a good one. Bye!